Welcome for another video production by the Artelino company. But maybe I should introduce myself first. My name is Dieter, family name Wanshura, Dieter Wanshura. And I'm the owner of a little family company, and we sold Japanese prints, but also contemporary art prints in weekly online auctions since 2001, and exclusively online. And currently we run the auction 1713, and this is a mix of old Japanese prints and some contemporary prints. And in this video I want to introduce a few selected excellent prints from the Edo period, prints that collectors of Japanese art prints call ukiyo-e. Ukiyo-e, for beginners in Japanese prints, an explanation, is just another word, a Japanese word for Japanese prints, so until roughly 1900. And these prints that I introduced today, they are from the end of the 18th century until middle 19th century. Well, let's start with this long and skinny one. This is by Konyoshi Isoda, and it was first published in the late 18th century. And this unusual format is called hashira-e. Hashira-e. E is the Japanese word for a picture or an image. And these formats are rather rare. And it shows two birds, a moorcock and a moorhen. Let's jump to the next one. In the current auction we have, I think, at least 15 prints by Kunisada Utagawa. Kunisada Utagawa was one of the most productive printmakers of the Edo period. Experts estimate that during his lifetime, he plus his students, one has to say, plus his students produced an estimated total of 20,000 different designs. And with this number, you can already imagine that there must be differences in quality, and they are. Kunisada's contemporaries estimated Kunisada as the best printmaker of his time. We see it a little bit different today. There are a lot of good, solid prints, but just average. And there are quite a few excellent and outstanding. And I now don't want to show you all these 15. You can check our catalog, or just 3 that we regard as outstanding. And these outstanding prints, they are also rare, and they are of course more expensive than, let's say, just these average typical images, mostly from kabuki actors. Well, this one shows a scene from the Chinese mythology, also a subject that is rather rare. Also the next one by Kunisada, and there you see a distinctive difference, not only in design, but also in the quality of the, let's say, the quality of the colors. This has rather fresh colors, and here the colors are a bit faded. And besides, the background is not printed. It shows a famous actor of his time, Ishikawa Nuro, and he's in the role of an evil magician. Rather rare, and therefore not quite cheap, a rare Kunisada print. And also the third print that I want to show you from this, let's say, better category of Kunisada prints, shows a rather unusual scene. It's from a series, I think a series of 36 different designs, and the title is comparison of magic tricks drawn by Toyokuni. And this one shows an ox and a spider. But back to the title, drawn by Toyokuni. Why drawn by Toyokuni? I mean, I told you the artist is Kunisada. This is a little bit of confusion. Japanese artists, even until our times, they like to confuse today's collectors. They change their name frequently. And Kunisada, from a certain time on, when he could take over, when he became the head of the so-called Utagawa school, then he took the name of his master, Toyokuni. Therefore, Kunisada sometimes is also called Kunisada, Toyokuni III. Needn't remember this play of names. If you're a beginner for Japanese prints, at the beginning it can drive a man a little bit crazy. Anyway, an excellent print, very fresh colors, very good impression, fantastic condition. But please always read the descriptions of our online catalog. My Japanese wife, Yori, she makes excellent descriptions, and she always rates the 3 criteria: impression, quality, and colors. Let's go to the next one. Again, this is by Aitsan Kikugawa. Aitsan Kikugawa, his prints are a little bit in the style of Utamaro, and he had also concentrated his subjects, his favorite subjects, are what Japanese call bijin. Bijin means beautiful women. In reality, these women that are shown here in these old prints, they have nearly always been prostitutes. In today's literature, they are usually described as courtesans. Yeah, I don't want to go into this subject now. In my view, a little bit of sad story of the social history of Japan. Anyway, very nice print. Good colors, good condition. The next one, by a pupil of Ando Hiroshige. Ando Hiroshige, the great master, famous for his print series, his landscape series of the Tokaido, this old highway system that connected Edo with Kyoto. And this shows a festive procession in the form of a triptych. By the way, these triptychs were always made in a way so that each single sheet, well, 3 sheets, could stand for itself. And let me just make one comment. When I see such a print, I'm really always flabbergasted, mesmerized, when I imagine that these images were created by artists who carved flat areas or thin lines into wooden blocks. And they had to carve one block for each color, and then everything must fit together to produce such an image. Still, for me, nearly incredible. And no other nation in the world has driven this technique of woodblock printmaking to such heights like the Japanese people. Hiroshige II, by the way, pupil of Ando Hiroshige, and when Ando Hiroshige died, well, he took over his business because he had married his master's daughter. Unfortunately, this marriage did not last for long, and then he went somewhere else, and another pupil of Ando Hiroshige married Ando Hiroshige's daughter and became Hiroshige III. Okay, next one is also rather old, by Shunsho Katsukawa. And this is one sheet from a so-called ihon. It illustrates songs for koto music. Koto, an old Japanese musical instrument that is still played today. And ihon is a Japanese book. And you must know that these books were made in the same way like single prints, just that then several prints were kept together with a string. And often these single prints taken from a ihon, they often still have these binding holes on the left side, sometimes on the right side. This is rather rare. Shunsho Katsukawa, first published at the end of the 18th century. Shunsho Katsukawa died in 1792. Next one, and finally we have the great master of the landscape print of the first half of the 19th century, Ando Hiroshige. This is also from one of his roughly 30 different series that depicted this old medieval highway system between Kyoto and Edo. Edo, the old name for what is today Tokyo. And this is called the Chuban or the Kihitsu Tokaido. Chuban, because of the size. This is Japanese. This format is called Chuban. It's a little bit smaller than the average, the typical standard size, which is called Oban. And Kihitsu, because this was the publisher. In the literature, you find a name for each of these different Tokaido series so that it's even more easily recognizable by collectors, dealers, and auctioneers. And this is also a nice example to illustrate one of the three criteria which is used to describe old Japanese prints. And from the rating of these criteria depends also the price. The same design can have a value of $100 or of $1,000 depending on the rating of these three criteria. And again, it's the colors, it's the condition, and it's the impression. Colors, how fresh? Yeah, the colors are pretty good. Condition, spots, foxing, no, pretty good. Impression here is not that good. Impression, okay, now I have to become a little bit technical. From wooden blocks you can pull only a limited number of prints. Experts estimate 8,000, maybe a maximum of 10,000. And the more prints you pull, the worse the condition of the blocks become. Well, look at this here, these fine border lines. They're a little bit broken, because the block wears off. And then here you have a few white areas there, here around these guys, also along here the border. And this is also a technical thing, because when you pull a print from such a block or several blocks, one block for each color, you have to wetten them. And when you wetten, when you put water on a wooden block, the wood shrinks a little bit, and therefore you get these gaps, And collectors pay more money for a fresh impression, an early impression that doesn't have such gaps. Nevertheless, it's a pretty good print. The colors are excellent. No spots, no foxing, but the impression the rating is not that good, and it's always described by my Japanese wife, Yori. She makes excellent descriptions. Yeah. Okay, this was a little bit of a technical excursion for beginners in Japanese prints. The next one is by Konyoshi. Style of this one, not so typical for Konyoshi actually. Could expect it, Kunisada, Toyokuni. And it shows also the famous actor of his time, Ishikawa Danjuro, in the role of an evil magician who's just about to, with a magic spell, to transform himself into a rat. Yeah, and this from a kabuki play. Next one, an old one by Choki Shosai. We do not know when he died, we do not know when he was born, but we know he was active at the turn from the 18th to the 19th century. And it shows a scene from the famous Chushingura kabuki play. Chushingura, this was the theatrical transformation of real historical events. The incident of the 47 Ronin. Maybe you saw the film. This is not from the Japanese mythology. These were real events from the early 18th century in Japan, the story of the 47 Ronin. And the kabuki version is called Chushingura. The last one, this is an Osaka print. Osaka print, because it was made by printmakers active not in Tokyo but in Osaka, and the output of the Osaka school, maybe only 2-3% of the output of the printmakers from Edo, and their style is a little bit different. It needs a little bit of experience to recognize an Osaka print, by the way, also called kamigata. Especially the face expression is rather typical. Also the shape of the figures, often they look rather twisted. Here when you look at these fingers, it's like this. The reason is these Osaka printmakers concentrated completely on actor prints or scenes from the kabuki theater. Why? It was the main business. It was their commercial ground. Different from Edo prints and quite charming, and many collectors just like this, well, sometimes a little bit naive look of these Osaka prints. Well, this was the last print from the Ukiyo-e prints from the current auction that I wanted to present in this auction. And this auction will end coming Sunday, December 20, it started December 26. My goodness, sorry, my folks. It started December 26, 2021, and will end in the new year on January 2nd, 2021. So let me combine that with a Happy New Year greeting for you. And our auctions always run over 1 week. Fixed time, always begin on a Sunday at 8 p.m. our local time. And then 1 second later, the new auction starts. So always the change of the guards is at Sunday, 8 p.m. local time, and we are 6 hours ahead of you guys on the US East Coast. Well, enough for today. Long video. Please take a look at the auction catalog, and of course I would be happy to see you bidding in our auctions, and I would be happy to see you for our next video. Goodbye, and thanks for your patience and for watching. Goodbye.